Okay, fine. So today we're going to talk about Cassandra DB. Um, the main point of talking about this Cassandra DB is to for you to understand why you can use Cassandra DB in your project. Okay, so that is the main concept here. We are not gonna dive deeper into Cassandra DB on how Cassandra DB works internally. We might do it in the next session. This is to understand Cassandra on the basis of making sure that you can choose Cassandra whenever you want, whenever you like to have this one. Okay, fine. So let's start. Okay, let's start the session. Why Cassandra DB? So Cassandra DB is basically for faster queries. Okay, so whenever you write, whenever you want to faster get your data faster, say a million records must come in 0.3 seconds, 0.5 seconds. You can use Cassandra DB. The next is NoSQL. It supports NoSQL format, meaning it gives all the advantages of what NoSQL has. Mostly the advantages which are the schema-less and the horizontal scaling. It supports high volume of data. We are going to see in detail of how it supports high volume. It also supports multiple data type. In case of SQL, it supports only say mostly in a trivial data types like number, text. Yeah, it supports some files saving, but it's not the right database to use for files. You might use blobs. Okay, and it also gives you a real-time performance. So you understand why Cassandra DB. We're gonna explain why it supports multiple data types or faster queries or high volumes. When I explain to you the row-based column and the column-based, globe-based and column-based approaches. Okay, fine. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do go ahead and subscribe. And if you, yeah, okay. So let's dive little deeper into Cassandra DB. So Cassandra DB is one that is created by Facebook, and then after they have used it for a long time because they had some problem with MySQL, and then they are open sourced and they gave it to Apache Apache open source foundation for free, and it's basically a free open source distributed open source. And main thing here is it's a wide column store. Okay, I'm going to explain to you wide column store in detail. And it's a NoSQL database management system designed to handle large amount of data. It's for large amount. It's not for something where you're going to save say 10,000 records or 5,000 records. And you might even go with SQL itself, which is cheaper and also very easier because your developer will be very talented, I mean very knowledgeable to use SQL Server. If you're going to go for Cassandra, it has to be high. The number of records should be high. That is how you can scale to next level. Okay, so first before starting that, you need to understand what is row oriented versus column oriented DB. Okay, so that is the main thing. So if you have any questions, let me know till now. I'll be happy to give it to you. Okay, fine. Okay, so let's start. So what is row oriented versus column oriented? So if you see tables, right, everywhere we saw rows, right, and there is a column also for a table. So what is the difference between a row oriented table and a column oriented table? It's kind of confusing, correct? So you have to make sure that you understand this concept better. So think in terms of other things. Okay, what might be row oriented, what might be column oriented. Okay, think through that. Okay, so what is row oriented? Okay, let's dive a little bit deeper. So oriented DB is a normal table you always have. Most probably whoever is listening to this will be will understand what a table means, right? So it has a columns, and then each and every time I want to search for data, I need to traverse one by one, first row, second row, third row. So what if I want to search salary who's 94,000? So I have to search first, second, third. Okay, saying that there are no index to the table. Okay, if there are index, it might be faster. That is why it will be probable case will be order of log n. The worst case will be either order of n or order of log n. I'm not going to complicate that. N is order of n is takes more time than order of log n. Okay, if there are no indexes, it will be order of n. If there are indexes, there might be order of log n. That's the worst case. with respect to searching or querying the data. Okay, let's little bit go in deeper. So I'm going to explain why how row oriented DB works. That might be trivial to you, but it's a very much important thing, because when you want to compare that with the Cassandra columnar based database, you should you should be able to understand. Until you compare and learn, you will not be able to understand. Okay, fine. Okay, somebody has asked a question saying that most of the DB supports multiple data type and how it differs from other DB. You mean Cassandra differs from other DB? What do you mean by, yeah? Okay, so Mohammed has asked me, Mohammed to Mansur has says with MS SQL. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Everything I'm going to compare with is a SQL. It can be MS SQL or it can be MySQL or any SQL. We are going to compare that with the SQL database with the Cassandra DB. Okay, so right now this row oriented DB is a SQL database. Okay, I'm going to compare that with the MySQL. Everywhere we are going to do the same. That way you will be able to relate more. Okay, fine. Saying that, let's go it. So if I run this query, what will happen? So it will go and search first record it is. Okay, it will be there. What if the salary is equal to 55,000? It will search 1001, 002, 003, 004, and then finds the record 55,000, and it will display employee ID and last name, right? Same way, what if I want to, sorry, some the salary from employees? So what I have to do? I have to first check the first row, second row, add. So 4 rows I should add. So the further needle will be in the first row, and then comes to second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row, fourth row, and then adds it up, and then it gives you output. So there are, say, just think of it as a some kind of a needle moving the rows, right? Or your eyes moving through the table in the Excel. Same way we have to find that. So there are multiple ways to find. Just for simplicity's sake, you keep it that way. So it will be actually going one by one row. What if there are million rows? So it will be like going one by one by one. So I'm not putting index here. If there is index, there will be a proper index where it actually goes to that, but still it will be order of login. So you understand that, right? Okay, so you remember this sum of salary. When you do it in columnar, it will be very easy. Okay, fine. So next, let's look into how the columnar databases, columnar oriented DB works, meaning our Cassandra works. If you see the example, the first example is the one which with respect to MySQL. It has row ID, employee ID, last name, first name, and salary. It is how that associate. But if you see in the second example, can you see the second example? Can somebody, can you actually see through and see whether you can understand what it represent? Take a couple of seconds to see this record. See how it is stored, what is common. So row oriented is nothing but a MySQL option. Okay, the database is actually any SQL database is actually a row oriented database. Okay, so if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Like the video if you do like them. I'm gonna give you some more time to understand. If you have any question, just put in the comment section. I'll be able to answer that to you. Okay, fine. So now you saw the way the data is saved in columnar oriented DB. What you can see is the employee ID is actually saved in one single column, correct? 10, 12, 11, 22. And the last name is saved in one column. Smith, Jones, Johnson, Jones. First name Joe, Mary, Kathy, Bob. If you and the salary 60,000, 80,000, 94, and 55K. When you see there, what is it? What is one thing common here is each and every column, column data will have its own row ID. Okay, so remember that. So what is happening here? In case of SQL, this is how it is stored. But in case of columnar database, this is how it is stored, where all the column is data is all the data of a corresponding column is saved in one single column. Okay. Okay, just keep that in mind. We'll when we go back to the example, when we compare, we're going to run the same query in the which we have ran in the MySQL in the columnar also. Okay, so we're going to run the same query which we ran in row in the columnar also. Okay, now you can see there. So employee ID. So whenever there is a salary 60,000, right? You know salary in the where class it is salary, right? It will directly go to the salary itself. Is it clear? And then it will check for the in that column what is 60. Now, okay, now I found out what is the row ID for my column. So what I need to have this employee ID and last name where a salary is 60,000, right? So what I will do is I'll take the 001. I'll go to what I need to print employee ID. I'll go check what is employee ID which has a row ID of 001. I'll print 10 and then same way I need to print what? Last name. So I know the row ID which relates to the salary of 60,001. Then I will print Smith. You get that? So it is faster, right? Instead of going through multiple columns to figure out where my data is, I'll directly go to the column, get the result, and then go back and get all the columns value. You get it? Is that clear? Let me explain one more time. So when I want to, when the salary is 60,000, it will directly go to that column which has value 60,000 and it will find the row ID. Now I want two things. I want the employee ID, I want the last name. How can I know the employee ID and last name? Because it is in the some other column, correct? So now what I have to do is, I have to go to employee ID. And now since my where class is being positive or it has hit a record, hit a data, I know what is row IDs, which is 001. I'll go and check the employee ID. Next thing I need is what? Last name. I'll go fetch the Smith also, 001. Okay, is that clear? If any questions, let me know. Yeah, S either. Column based table, its value associated to row ID. That's right. You are right. Any other questions you want me to answer? I can answer. Is that clear? Okay. Okay. So good question. What will happen? Nilesh has asked, what will happen in case of duplicate values? Okay. Okay. That we'll also figure it out. Okay. So what will happen? Just guess. It will give you a two records. Okay. So duplicate values added in the same way as it is being done. Okay. So that is the way it will work. So duplication is probably more in NoSQL that you know, that is not a issue because it will have 60,000 it will give you 002 okay, fine. Okay, so let's move on to next. Select sum of salaries from employees. Okay, so now the catch is here. So what if it is a SQL? What will happen? Let's go back and see in SQL what will happen. So it has to first fetch this record, second record, third record, fourth record, sum it up, and then give you the record result for this, right? But in case of this column redo, what will happen? It will just take that column and then sum everything. Now the number of rows it needs to fetch is actually one, correct? So that is the advantage. This is where the columnar database actually shines. Okay, where you want to use it in a places where you want to so where you want to use it in multiple, where you want to find like count, sum of, or the reports you need to build, or the records for a group of data. So that the places where we are currently using data warehouse or data lakes, you can use Cassandra there. Okay, this is an interesting one. What happens if I put select star from employee where salary is 60,000? Now what it has to do, it has to go through all the columns or the rows and then figure out for each and every data, correct? So what if I put just select from star from employee? It will be worse than the actual SQL. Okay, now you need to think about that. Okay, so this is where the SQL and the Cassandra will be competing with each other when whenever you know there is a where class and you are very sure that that where class can be a partition key, then you can go for columnar data. If it is not the case and you get multiple columns, or say there are like 100,000 columns, sorry, 1,000 columns, and the number of records you want to search is more, or it is basically a write heavy database, those in case of those areas, no, Cassandra will not be right choice. Say, what if I want to delete Jones? Okay, 002. So I have to go to every single column and then keep deleting all the record, right? So that will be a very problematic thing for deleting the data. So if you see quorum, no, if you have multiple replication set, and there will be a lots of distributing computing problems also, which we'll discuss maybe in the next session, where we'll dig deeper into Cassandra. Now you understand, right? So this is where you cannot use SQL Cassandra, where it is a write heavy operations. We use Cassandra when it is a read heavy operations. Yes, Mogad Mansoor has asked, do you mean column data is fast enough to query? Yes, it is fast, very fast to query with respect to SQL, because it will directly go to the column and then get the data out of it, rather than passing through all the columns. It's basically an order of one. Even if you alter the table, row ID, call ID remains same. Okay, so that's a good question. Sham Sundar has asked, can I query the table with non-primary keys in Cassandra? With respect to Cassandra, it is not possible, but you still can put, there is one overriding keyword. If you put that, it will actually pull those records, but it will be a very, it might not be the right record, meaning the count or because the data might be in different replica set, or it be in different nodes. So Cassandra does not recommend putting that override. As I said, it should have a proper, I wouldn't say it's a primary key. You should have some kind of a partition key at least, that helps the Cassandra to query. So if you want to query a database which has a column that is not part of your partition key or a primary key, you will not be able to query it directly. You can only override it. But saying that, in Azure, every key is being indexed, so you can actually put that, so it works as it is, even if you don't put a partition key or a primary key on it. So that is a great advantage with using Azure. Okay, fine. So now you understood, right, where I can. So first I told you the main advantages of Cassandra is, first is always the fast. It uses NoSQL approach. It uses columnar wide data store. Okay, so we compared with columnar and row based database. Columnar was a, what is that? So these are two database. So we want to record one by one. But in case of employee ID, everything is saved in the row. So when I want to find a row of 60,000 where gallery is 60,000, I find the corresponding row ID, go back. If I want column last name and employee ID, I'll be able to find those data by knowing the row ID which I got from identifying my salary. Okay, so that is how it goes through that, and it will print all those records. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, Shyam Sundar has asked, but in ReadDB, I would need lots of other fields to get better UI. Yes, that is right. Yes, you are right. So that is where it is. So you have to make sure that you put a appropriate column. That is a limitation of Cassandra DB. But probably it might be okay, right? You want to show that in the record, but if you want to put a where clause, it will be lesser, correct? But select is fine. Select, you can select any number of columns, but the where class can be only done for if you have a clustered composite key or primary key that is set. Otherwise, Cassandra by itself will not work. Saying that, it will work in Cosmos DB. Cosmos actually indexes every single column, so you will not have this problem if you are using Cosmos DB. But if you are using an on-premise system or any other database available in the cloud or your on-premise, you might not have this same flexibility that is available in Cosmos. Okay, you can show the other fields. That is what I said. You can show other fields, but you will not be able to put a where class on it. Okay, you can show other fields, but where class you need to set a primary key, sorry, composite key. Okay, we'll explain when I explain it to you. Next, I'll explain it to you. Okay, let's see a quick demo of Cassandra. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe, and then you make sure that you like the button, click on the thumbs up button if you like this video till now. Okay, I'm not going to create one, I'm going to just show how it's created because it will take a while. Test Cassandra December meetup. Yeah, that's it. So you need to select Cassandra here. So you need to select Cassandra here. So other than that, it's all the same. You click on review create, you should be able to create that. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to click create. I'm going to open the one which is already there. I've already created a user profile. I'll show you the code that is needed. Okay, fine. So this is the one. This is how it looks. Basically, the one. If you go to say Data Explorer, so you can see the Cassandra API's data. So user. Okay. So this is the data which is already there, which I've created through C# code. Okay. Fine. Let's dive back to this. If you want to follow me through Twitter, you can use my Twitter handle Karthik3030. Okay. You can contact me if you have any questions in any with respect to architecture or any cloud platform or .NET. I'm happy to help you. Okay, fine. Let's get into the next section. Partition. Somebody has asked me like, why I need a partition, right? So the point here is there are two types of partition: primary key partition and the clustered or composite key partition. Non-clustered. Okay. So comparatively, what you can see is it's a clustered and non-clustered index as we have in other SQL options. The main point here is until I have a partition key, I will not be able to put the where. So that is a limitation. So there are two types of partitions. One is logical partition and another one is primary partition. Sorry, physical partition. Okay, I'll answer to you, Nilesh. Give me some time. Okay, fine. So there are two types of partition: physical partition and logical partition. Okay, the physical partition is the actual node where the data resides. Logical partition is actual segregation of data, like abstract or logical segregation of data, which is in part of one single node. Meaning, one physical node can have multiple logical partition. Logical partition is for the computer manipulation of data. It's nothing else. It has nothing to do with any other details. Okay. So so if so it is basically the normal one. So if I have a primary key as my ID as a primary key, it will automatically go directly fetch the data from the logical partition or physical partition. So it will be like order of 2 or order of 1 based on the key. Okay. Next is the composite key. So what if my is user and ID? So whatever the user and the ID as so in the name of Theo, all the messages will be part of the logical partition. But one physical partition can have many logical partition and it can access it. So in case of what is that? Cassandra DB in general, if you don't have a composite key set on any column, you will not be able to query a var class. But saying that, you can override that, but the data that comes out of it might not be right. It might be a little bit stale, or it might give you it might give you a lesser result. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So the next is the materialized view. Okay, so let's get this in detail. So what all we saw what the advantage of Cassandra DB. It's NoSQL. It queries faster. It's basically a columnar-wise database. We compared a row-based database and the column-based database. In that case, row-based database is they're stored in a different format, and the column-based database in different format. You can remember this for that. So when you fetch a data in a row base, it is different. When you fetch a data in a column base, it is a little bit different. Okay, it travels through using the row ID. And the next is the partition. So you have to set a primary key or composite key as a key. Then only the Cassandra will pull the data. Otherwise, it will throw you an error. So if you want to not throw an error, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you set a proper key, saying that in Cosmos DB, which we have created right now in our session, you will be able to see the what is that? Every column is indexed, so it is not a problem in case of Cassandra DB in Cosmos, but in on-premises it will be a problem. Okay. Okay. So next main concept is the materialized view. Okay. So before going to materialized view, I'll show you a demo of how database is created and the code that runs the. Okay. So if you see here, it's a very simple code. Okay. There is a Cosmos DB Cassandra using Cassandra namespace. Okay. So it's a very simple thing. All you need to is to actually create a session and then create a key space. Key space is nothing but a place where you tell where the node exists on the type of topology. We'll not get into this into detail. We might get into the detail maybe later in the next session. Okay, so this adds data to it, maybe the user data with Dubai, Toronto. This is a sample I got it from Microsoft site. Okay, so when I run this, it will basically create a website, create a database, and then put an inside a record. The main thing you need to understand from this code is, okay, main thing you need to understand from this code is this key space and the table creation. Other than that, it's actually simple. Normally use think of it as like some kind of a dapper kind where you can insert and get data. Okay, fine. So saying that, this is the code that is available. Okay, the simple code like a 4 lines of code, you will be able to connect to Cassandra, and the connections details you can get it from here. Okay, these are the connection string which I have replaced here. Okay, I have replaced it here. All right. Okay, fine. So you saw the code. You saw me creating a Cassandra DB. All you need is to change the one-liner. Okay. Yes, await is Nilesh. Okay, I'll answer some of the questions. When we use Nilesh has asked, when we use select query for any data in Cassandra, then will it fetch the data for every data mapped to it? Okay. When we use select query for any data in Cassandra, then will it fetch the data for every data mapped to it? Select star. Yes, yeah, it will. Select star is say same, right? It will go and find the whatever that is 001 and it will put or it will actually get all the data. Okay. And Cassandra DB will be useful in data analytics based apps or web or desktop based apps. Okay, so I'm not sure whether it's a web app or a desktop based apps. It is mostly used for high volume fetching data. Okay, probably in analytics more useful, but in case of any data where you need to any row where you need to fetch huge number of data or where there are like multiple say million or 100 million rows and you want to get only 3 records within some seconds. Cassandra is the right way to go. Okay, next question by Ajaya Kumar. Cassandra DB will be useful. Okay, I answered that. Nilesh Agarwal, is await keyword used for asynchronous calling? Yes, await is used for asynchronous calling because it's basically a network IO, right? So that is why await is being used in the. So any other questions if you have, please let me know. Okay. Okay, and let's get into the last part of this session. Okay, next is the main is the next is the materialized view. Okay, so materialized view is a database object that contains results of query. Okay, can anyone tell me what is view? You can type in the chat window. Okay, view is nothing but okay. One more question, Ajay Kumar. Does Cassandra have built-in encryption decryption where we have an MS? Yeah, it's all available. That you can enable that. Uh, that won't be a problem. Okay, fine. So materialized view is a database object that contains. Okay, what is a view? View is nothing but a projection of your columns, right? You just put, instead of putting joins in multiple table and then pushing it as a one data. You write a select, all select, and then you write a view on top of it. You will be selecting say 10 columns out of say 4 or 5 tables which is joined together. So whenever you actually queries that view, it will go and query the corresponding. It will go ahead and query the corresponding table. Okay, so you might get some noise because of my this one died. 1 second. Okay, materialized view is nothing but place where you will be seeing the database object that contains result. So when you see view, right, it actually goes and queries that. But in case of materialized view, what happens here is it will actually, what it does is at that point of time it will query and then save it as a result in a separate table itself, and it will keep updating to that table. So that is the main advantages of having a Cassandra DB, where if you write a view on top of it, the view will be updated as it is, and every time I query that view, it will not be querying back to my database where it has like say 3 tables which has million records, million into million is like I don't know how many trillions it is, and then it will bring the data out. But in case of materialized view, it will pull the data and then it will keep it as a own table, and whenever the data is updated into these three tables, any of these 3 tables, right, it will automatically update into the it will automatically update when there is one more order added and one more data is added, it will automatically update the materialized view. Okay, so that is where the strength of materialized view comes in, and Cassandra supports that materialized view by default, but is right now the materialized view is in the preview mode in Cassandra, and it is not available in the Cosmos also. People have actually voted for that. You can go ahead and vote if you want to. Okay, just search for materialized view in Cosmos DB Cassandra. You can put an upvote. They said they'll finish everything by middle of 2020. I don't think so it is there yet, but yeah, probably it will be like 1 or 2 months late, but still the better place to have. Okay, fine. So I showed you the code already. So let's compare with SQL and Cassandra. Okay, let me check whether I can pull my hi Sridhar. Hope you can hear me. Sridhar or someone, please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Sridhar, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Sridhar, can you? Okay, thanks, Sridhar. Fine. I don't know. Suddenly my thing died, and then when it charged for like few minutes, it worked. Okay, good. Fine. So as I told you, if you have to compare with SQL with Cassandra, right? So Cassandra all sorts of handles all sorts of data, images, videos, etc. But in case of SQL, it's not the case. It's character, text, and numbers. And bulk data is probably easier in Cassandra, but in case of SQL, it is only moderate. It Cassandra handles only extremely high storage, but yeah, SQL also does that. I'm not complaining, but Cassandra handles it better in case of horizontal scaling. That's the main thing. It is not with respect to Cassandra itself. Any NoSQL is the best option for having many data in different partitions and different horizontal nodes or nodes dabas, meaning multiple boxes rather than in one single heavy box, bigger boxes. Okay, and then facilitate automate distribution data. I told you because it automatically copies based on partitions, physical partition, and the partition key. It moves one frame to another, and then copies. Replication is easier. It uses the proper distributing computing model. Okay, and then the one thing is people are asking me like querying with partition key. Without partition key, it is not possible directly in Cassandra on-premise version, but in Cosmos DB it works. But in case of SQL, I can query it whether there is an index or not, or partition key is there or not, primary key is there or not. Either way, the data will be obsolete, meaning it will have the ACID properties. Okay, all the ACID properties. Okay, fine. Saying that, let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and answer some of the questions. Okay, fine. So the question are, can you explain what is the library used to connect to .NET app? Okay, I'm going to explain that. 1 second. If you see my code, so this is Cassandra C# driver, which you have already. Okay, Ajia, you can see that Cassandra C# driver, and then it's all like very few lines of code. It basically looks like a Dapper code. Okay, how performance tuning will be performed. Okay, so performance tuning is basically trying to find the proper composite key. That is a performance tuning as far as I know. More than that, I'm not sure how it works. Okay, so if you set a proper what is that partition key, sorry, the composite key, you should be able to see the performance tuning. And yeah, a good database structure will also help you to have a better performance tuning. Any other question? So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's see. Any other questions, guys? I'll wait for 30 more seconds, otherwise we'll call it for the day. Okay, so go ahead and subscribe. Thanks, Nilesh. You love the content. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining, guys. Yes, Cassandra have a paging. What do you mean by paging? Ajaya Kumar. You mean virtual paging? Yeah, that will be there. That is part of the OS that we cannot do. Anything else? Any other? Did I answer the question, Ajay Kumar? Company names who are using it. Facebook is the one created it. Netflix is the one is using it. Major bigger players who have lots and lots of data are using it. Okay, Nilesh Agarwal, next session. Yeah, sure. Next session will be probably maybe next month. We might do something on Kubernetes, on something else also. We'll do that. We'll get to our meetup and make sure that you are part of our meetup. You'll be able to see lots of things. Hopefully everything gets better. I don't know whether it gets better. Okay, so best practices, yeah, best practices were probably better database design and understanding materialized view, and then making sure your composite keys are well tested. Okay, you have to test it because otherwise you have to make sure we have to delete the data and put it in there. So that is a major best practices. Other than that, it's normal programming or database design best practices will hold good in the even in the Cassandra. One more thing is it is not ACID compliant database. It is OLAP. So you have to think through that. You shouldn't be writing any code that writing any code to make it OLTP. You have to understand. You have to choose the application so that it is eventual consistency model rather than a ACID based consistency. Okay. 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 So I want to select top 1,000 rows. Ajaya Kumar, what is the file? Okay, yeah, yeah, you can put, right. So it's basically select top 1,000. Top 1,000 is available. Yes, you can do that. Okay, so Venkat Pala has asked when to choose Cassandra over other DBs. The main point to choose Cassandra or other DBs are it depends. That's the answer I will give you. The first main point is I have lots and lots of rows or records, and I want to fetch the data faster. Okay, and my application is not write heavy and it is actually read heavy. Maybe it is like one single dump of data, and then I want to read it multiple times. Maybe generating reports, building statistics, or those kind of areas. We might have to go to use Cassandra. Where say if you use Facebook also, right? I might create a post once, but that will be viewed by 1,000 different people. Okay, so those are the places where it is read heavy, you will go to Cassandra. If it is a write heavy, don't go to Cassandra. Okay, yeah. Ajay Kumar, can we use this DB in payment domains? Absolutely not. Okay, so there is, as I told you, it's a OLAP. If you meant the transaction is for the money being deducted and removed and added, then it is big no. But if you are actually having it as a order history or payment history, then it is fine. Okay, I would say not to choose Cassandra in case of payment area. Any other question? Any other question, guys? Feel free to ask questions. It's just a typing, right? You need to type. Okay, I'll wait for 10 more seconds. If that is not the case, okay, make sure you subscribe to the channel and then follow me on the Twitter at Kartik3030 for more details for these kind of latest sessions. I mean, I always learn new things, and these are all real time experience I share with people. So it's fun for me and fun for you also. All right. I'll go ahead and stop. Okay, there is one more question. Thanks, Ajay Kumar. Thank you very much. What option we use in Cassandra when it comes to read replica and AWS? Okay, I'm not sure what AWS is present. You have to create a VM and then do it. Basically, multiple nodes. You should have a managed service for Cassandra because AWS should have it. Okay. Cassandra meaning. Okay. That's a good question. Cassandra is nothing but a place where you will get the information before itself. Those are the people who are spy will bring the will bring the news from the ground to you, to the king. So those people are called as Cassandra. So they basically that's a data, right? You get the data faster. So that is why it is called as Cassandra. Ram Kumar SN. Yeah, that's an answer. So you can keep it as some kind of a spy who works in the ground level and then informs the king what all is happening in the ground level. So that is what is Cassandra is. Okay. Any other question? Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop this. Okay, subscribe. Thank you. Thank you, Ram Kumar. Thank you, Sridhar. Thanks, Muhammad Mansoor, Ajaya, Venkat, Kamesh, Ram Kumar, Lokesh for answering one of the question. And then Dinesh, I guess. All right. Okay, guys. It was a great session. Thanks for the session. Leave your comments if you have anything. Make sure you subscribe the channel, put a like on it, and any comments you can put, I can answer into that. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.